NPR and its network of public radio stations aren't just one big thing run by NPR. Each station, like us, NCPR, is kind of like its own mini government. We make our own schedules, decide how much local news or music we'll do, all that. But increasingly, our stations are working together more. You've heard the New York Public News Network a lot here, right? That's all the stations in New York State sharing stories and reporters to make your understanding of the news better. Well, on Monday, NCPR and WAMC, the station based in Albany, were doing a whole new kind of collaboration. A live talk show IRL in real life in Lake Placid. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street, Glens Falls.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Thursday, September 4th. First up, a Democrat from Saratoga County launched his campaign for New York's 21st congressional district yesterday. South Glens Falls native Dylan Hewitt described himself as a seventh-generation upstate New Yorker. At a press conference in the Village, Hewitt said he worked as a deputy assistant U.S. trade representative in the Biden White House.
I served the president to protect American workers, to stand up to corporate monopolies, and to take on China and strengthen our national security.
Hewitt said incumbent Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has turned her back on the district in favor of billionaires and donors. He said if elected, he'll focus on paid family leave, universal child care, reversing Medicaid cuts, and fully funding public education.
This campaign is for anyone who believes that you deserve to live with dignity and have the freedom to thrive. Jobs that pay enough to live. Healthcare that you can count on, and a fair shot at success.
Hewitt's entry into the race sets up a potential Democratic primary with St. Lawrence County farmer Blake Gendabine ahead of the 2026 midterms. Stefanik spokesman Alex DeGrasse said in a statement that Hewitt's primary challenge was proof that Gendabine is a, quote, disastrous candidate. He said whoever wins the primary will, quote, get crushed in a landslide like every other Democrat in this district. Stefanik herself is mulling a run for governor, but will not make an official decision until after this November's elections. Next Monday morning, we're hosting 2 hours of live radio in Lake Placid. We're partnering with WAMC to tackle some key issues facing the Adirondacks. From 10 to 11, our Plattsburgh reporter, Kara Chapman, will co-host a roundtable on cross-border trade and tourism from Canada. During the second hour, from 11 until noon, our Adirondack reporter, Emily Russell, will co-host a discussion about demographics, diversity, housing, and school enrollment in the park. Emily and Kara joined Monica Sandreski on Northern Light for a preview.
Kara, let's start with you. Why has the North Country's relationship with Canada changed so much this year?
Well, when President Donald Trump took office, he introduced some pretty high tariffs on a lot of countries, including Canada. Those tariffs are now at 35% on goods that don't comply with the USMCA. That's the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement. So there's a big push in Canada right now to avoid buying American goods and traveling south of the border. Another thing that sparked that movement was Trump's rhetoric this spring about making Canada the 51st state. We've talked to Canadians who say that was really insulting, so both Trump's rhetoric and his tariffs have had a real impact on our region.
And you and Joe Donahue from WAMC will be diving into all of those details next Monday. Who else will be part of the roundtable?
So what I like about this hour is we have people who are kind of what I would say are on the ground with the impacts of this trade war and the decline in Canadian visitors. But we also have people who can help us kind of zoom out and talk about the bigger picture, the potential long-term impacts to the relationship between the two countries. So we have Sarah Galvin, who co-owns the Bookstore Plus in Lake Placid, and she can speak to how things look on Main Street these days as far as Canadian traffic in a big tourist town. We also have Matthew Parrott from A.N. Deringer. They're a nationwide customs brokerage, so he can talk about how they've been navigating the ups and downs of the tariffs. Gary Douglas from the North Country Chamber of Commerce is a longtime advocate for the U.S.-Canada relationship. He can speak to where things are at right now, but also how this challenge compares to other obstacles to the U.S.-Canada relationship, like the COVID-19 pandemic. And lastly, we have Neil Forkey. He chairs the Canadian Studies Department at St. Lawrence University, and he can kind of bring more of that historical lens to how the two countries have interacted with each other.
Well, let's pivot now and take a look at the broader Adirondack economy. So, Emily, you'll be talking during the second hour of the roundtable about workforce housing, school enrollment, and diversity and demographics in the Adirondacks. Why focus on those four issues?
Yeah, they're really all interconnected. You know, if you don't have affordable housing for workers, then you have fewer kids in the local schools. And if you have fewer kids in the local schools, the demographics of the region shift older, which we've seen happen here in the Adirondacks in recent decades. And that leads to new challenges and also new opportunities for the region. And then just being a welcoming and inclusive region will help attract a diverse population. So we're really looking at all of these issues and how intertwined they are, because if you don't have affordable housing, if your schools continue to shrink, it's a lot harder to attract a solid, diverse population of people that will help take care of the park's aging populations.
And who will be on your panel?
So Dale Brialt, he's the BOCES superintendent for Franklin, Essex, and Hamilton counties. He's got a lot of insight into enrollment numbers and how the school systems are adapting. And just to note, enrollment in the Adirondacks is down more than 40% in the last 45 years. So it's a huge issue that the Adirondack Park is facing. And then on the flip side, we've got Donna Beal. She's from the Mercy Care for the Adirondacks. She'll share how her organization is helping to care for and empower the park's aging population. We'll also be speaking with Katie Long from the North Country Rural Development Coalition about efforts to build more affordable housing in the Adirondacks. And then Tiffany Ray Fisher from the Adirondack Diversity Initiative. She's really passionate about the idea that diversity is really more of an end result, that it's something that a region can achieve when it has good jobs, when it has stable housing and resources for both its younger and older populations.
You're packing a lot into a few hours on Monday morning. Well, plus it's a public event and folks are encouraged to come out and watch it live and ask questions too. So, Kara, how is the day set up?
So it's happening at the High Peaks Resort in Lake Placid. Doors actually open at 8 a.m. on Monday, but starting at 9, there will be a live segment. Emily and I will pop on with our news director, David Summerstein, as well as WAMC's Joe Donahue and Pat Bradley. And then from 10 to noon, that's when the joint live broadcast happens. And you can also tune into that just on our airwaves in general or on our website. From 10 to 11, I'll be on with Joe talking about Canadian trade and tourism. And Emily will take the mic from 11 to noon to talk about demographics, diversity, housing, and schools. It's $5 to reserve your seat ahead of time, and you can do that by going to ncpr.org/80K roundtable.
That's our reporters, Kara Chapman and Emily Russell. Again, to get tickets for Monday's live show in Lake Placid, or for more details, go to ncpr.org/ADK roundtable. That's ncpr.org/ADK roundtable. Music today by Evan Veenstra of Gananoque, Ontario, and Dan Duggan of Lake Clear. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.